Hey my egos, welcome again to another lecture discussion on the different topics of psychology, giving you only the basic tenets, the core concepts, and the most important information you need to learn. I hope this is useful for you and please share this to others. Let's help everyone. Please don't forget to subscribe in my channel. Hello everyone, so we're going to have another lecture discussion about one of the basic theories of personality. So we have Individual Psychology by Alfred Adler. So these are the basic information about Alfred Adler. He is actually part of the major group of Freud, but he began his own group, okay, because he tried to change what he is thinking. So rationally, magkaiba sila ng points ni Freud. They are opposite. All right? So for his theory, it is more of an optimistic view of people, and he tried to dispute Freud's theory. Okay, but because according for Sigmund Freud, it has more of a negative connotation towards humans. All right. So let's go to the fundamental tenets of his theory. So under his theory, individual psychology, it is more focused on the uniqueness of each person. All right? So the importance of an individual's goals, growth and free will, and there is an innate towards social interest. When we say social interest, this is the feeling of oneness with all humankind. All right? So individual psych also has a holistic approach to personality. Everything is, holy. Everything is unified as one. Individual psychology, the one dynamic force behind people's behavior is, this is very important, is the striving for success or superiority, which means that people strive as a means of compensation. All right, they either strive for success of all or success of themselves. All right, so striving for success or for their personal superiority. Okay, people's subjective perception shapes their behavior and personality. All right. Personality is unified and self-consistent, as what I said. The value of all human activity must be seen from the viewpoint of social interest, which is the feeling of oneness of all humankind. Okay? The self-consistent personality structures develops into a person's style of life. So, this refers to the flavor of person's life, style of life. Style of life is molded by people's creative power. So creative power is the free choice, all right, that can mold you, or the free choice that you can do. People's ability to shape their behavior, that is creative power. Okay, so the one dynamic force behind people's behavior is what you call striving for success or superiority. There is what you call aggression derived from this. Okay, there is a motivation force that strives for perfection. Alright, a single drive or motivating force lies behind all our behavior and experience. The desire we all have to fulfill our potential, to come closer and closer to our ideal. This is similar to the more popular idea of self-actualization. Alright? So that is the striving for success and superiority. This is the sole dynamic force of people's action. Okay? Very important dito sa theory ni Alfred Adler. The masculine protest, this refers to the will to power or domination of others. This is a universal drive, have a role in abnormal development. Will to power or a domination of others. For example, for most cultures, men are often have higher self-esteem compared to women. Right? There is an influence of many men towards the women, overemphasizing being manly. The final goal, this is also very important. The final goal is the people strives towards a final goal of either personal superiority or the goal of success for all humankind. So we have this final goal. This is either personal success or the success of all. So sabi din sa kanyang theory, mas importante daw yung success of all rather than personal success. Fictional and no objective existence. Okay, unifies personality and renders all behavior comprehensible. Each person has the power to create a personalized fictional goal. Okay, so fictionalism is the goal of superiority. So fictions, this is under subjective perceptions that shape our personality. So fictions is the expectation of the future. Again, this is under subjective perceptions. The product of the creative power, that is people's ability to freely shape their behavior and create their own personality. Okay, no effect of genetics or environment set by the time children reach 4 or 5 years of age. The striving force as compensation. What does it mean? So striving force as compensation means people strive as means of compensation, right, of inferiority. So striving to overcome. We all have problems, shortcomings. Okay, so this means the striving force itself is innate, but its nature and direction are both due to feelings of inferiority and the goals of superiority. Our personalities could be accounted for by the ways in which we do or do not compensate or overcome those problems. However, Adler rejected compensation as a label for the basic motive, because compensation make it sound as if people's problems that cause them to be what they are. Alright, very important this then dito sa kanyang theory is the compensation. Alright, let's focus more on these important terms. Striving for personal superiority. The goals are personal and no interest of others. Okay, highly subjective siya. Exaggerated feelings of personal inferiority. Okay, this is the motivation of personal superiority. For this one, inferiority complex, exaggerated sense of inferiority and inability to cope. Okay, that is inferiority complex. So, striving for success, this happens for healthy individuals. They concerned with goals beyond themselves and capable of helping others without demanding or expecting a personal payoff. They are able to see others not as opponents, but as people with whom they can cooperate for social benefit. Okay? So, people's subjective perceptions shape their behavior and personality. Again, subjective perceptions is the manner in which they strive is not shaped by reality but their subjective perceptions of reality. So by the fictions. The fictions again is the expectations of the future, okay, formed by our subjective perceptions. Fictionalism is the subjective. The fictional final goal guides of our style of life, gives unity to own personality, not real, acting as if real. So hindi ito totoo. Alright, fictionalism is not really true. And this is the goal of superiority. People are motivated not by what is true, but by their subjective perceptions of what is true. Okay. Teleology is an explanation of behavior in terms of its final purpose or aim. This is in opposition to causality. Considers behavior as springing from a specific cause. Also in this theory emphasizes the physical deficiencies alone do not cause a particular style of life. They simply provide present motivation for reaching the future goals. Third is personality is unified and self-consistent. Individual psychology refers to each person is unique and indivisible. Okay? So, There is what you call an organ dialect. This is the body organs speaks a language which is usually more expressive and discloses the individual's opinions than words are able to. So organ dialect is trying to tell something like, look at me, I cannot walk like that, so I am helpless. So there is like the deficient organ expresses direction of the individual's goals or what is really happening towards the person. Okay? So also for his theory focuses more of the conscious rather than the unconscious, unlike for Freud. The value of all human activity must be seen from the viewpoint of social interest. This is based on an innate disposition, but it has to be nurtured to survive. Okay, so again, social interest, the feeling of oneness with all humankind. There is a sense of caring for family, for a community, for society. Alright, a manner of being useful to others. Okay, that is social interest. The self-consistent personality structure develops into a person's style of life or the flavor of life of a person. This includes the person's goal, self-concept, feeling for others, and attitude towards the world. This is established by the age of 4 or 5. They have the ability to choose ways of reacting to their environment. Okay? They have that creative power. 3 major problems of life, according to Adler, is neighborly love, sexual love, and occupation. The style of life is molded by people's creative power. Again, this is the freedom to create his or her own style of life. Okay? We have the way to solve our own problems. We have that creative power. Okay, abnormal development that occurs in this theory is neuroticism. The creative power in those humans within certain limits with the freedom to be either psychologically healthy or unhealthy. Underdeveloped social interests, alright, there is a tendency to develop neuroticism. Okay, there is an over concern with themselves and care little about others. Alright, so this is for neurosis. There are 3 types: the ruling type, the getting type, and the avoiding type. Alright, again, neurosis happens when there is insufficient social interest. Alright, ruling type means dominant type. There is low social interest. The getting type, this is a learning type. There is no return. For the avoiding type, there is this happens when they try to avoid the problem. And number 4 is socially useful type. They have a high social interest. So this is very normal, okay, and very positive. Okay, here it is, the ruling type. Tendency to be rather aggressive and dominant over others. Low social interest. The getting type, they are relatively passive. They have no return. They have less effort. Okay? They just receive and receive and receive to persuade others to help them. The avoiding type, this has the lowest levels of energy. They try to avoid the problems of life. Okay? Alright, so abnormal development, also like Freud, Adler saw personality or lifestyle as something established quite earlier in life. So basic childhood situations that contribute to a faulty lifestyle are this. First is exaggerated physical deficiencies, pampered style of life, and neglected style of life. So exaggerated physical deficiencies is accompanied by accentuated feelings of inferiority. Okay, they tend to be overly concerned with themselves. They lack considerations for others. Okay? Life major problems can be solved only in a selfish manner. Okay, this is developed in the earlier stage of development. Pampered style of life is the heart of most neuroses. Okay, there is a weak social interest but a strong desire to perpetuate the pampered. Okay, there is a parasitic relationship with one or both of their parents, characterized by extreme discouragement, indecisiveness over sensitivity, impatience, and exaggerated emotion. Okay, next is we have neglected style of life. So, for this, the children who feel unloved and unwanted. Children here is abused and mistreated. So, little confidence is developed towards them. Tend to overestimate difficulties connected with life's major problems. Distrustful of other people and are unable to cooperate for the common welfare. Alright, somehow related siya sa theory ni Horney. Feel alienated from all other people. Alright, they are the ones who cannot really trust, alright, who has difficulty of trusting, and they turn to be more suspicious. Okay, so let's go on to safeguarding tendencies. So for Freud, he has defense mechanisms. For Adler, he has safeguarding tendencies. This enable people to hide their inflated self-image and to maintain their current style of life. This is a kind of defense mechanism. Okay, this happens on the conscious, unlike defense mechanism that is unconscious. Alright, this serves as a protection against anxiety, conscious, and shields a person's fragile self-esteem from public disgrace. What are those? First, very common excuses. They state what they claim they would like to do. Yes, but if only. That is the common excuses. Aggression is to protect their fragile self-esteem. Okay? So they try to be more aggressive by the form of somehow depreciating other people, accusation, or self-accusation. There are three types. Okay? So criticism and gossiping others. Unhealthy people invariably act to cause the people around them to suffer more than they do. Alright, so there are three types of aggression. It can be aggression towards others. Okay, so aggression towards themselves. That's okay. So self-torture and guilt. Third safeguarding tendency is withdrawal. For withdrawal, there are four types. Moving backward is like regression. Okay, protects people against anxiety-filled experiences. So, an example of this is it's like you will not go for this kind of job because you fear that you might fail or you might not be accepted, like that. So, moving backward, reverting to a more secure period of life. It is similar to regression. Standing still is you do not act or you do not move to any direction. You avoid responsibility. This is a withdrawal tendency. Avoid responsibility by ensuring themselves against any threat or failure. Hesitating, alright? This is like it's too late now. Okay? So there are procrastinations and excuses. Most compulsive behaviors are attempts to waste time. Constructive obstacles here is overcome obstacle to protect themselves. So some people build a straw house to show that they can knock it down. So for example, you try to join a particular contest for you to feel good about yourself, or for you na kaya mo, ganyan. So you make some challenges and you try to overcome them to protect you from anxiety. Masculine protest, again, this is the overemphasis of being a male or being a masculine. Constellation is also popular in the major theory of Alfred Adler. Alright, the birth order, the gender of their siblings, and the age spread between them. Okay, those are the factors. Alright, for the oldest child, they say, alright, that they have positive traits and negative traits as well. For the, alright, the second child and the youngest child and the only child. Let's see over here. For the oldest child, they are more nurturing and protective. They are good organizers. Negative traits, highly anxious, exaggerated feelings of power, unconscious hostility, and critical of others. For the second child, they are moderately competitive, highly motivated, and cooperative. Negative side involves highly competitive and easily discouraged. For the youngest child, they are realistically ambitious. Pampered style of life, they want to excel on everything. They are dependent on others. And for the only child, they are the most socially mature. Okay, they have exaggerated feelings of superiority, low feelings of compensation, inflated sense of self-concept, and pampered style of life. Okay, so the birth order is very important in personality formation according to Adler. Okay, so here it is. Personality assessment. In order to help people to discover the fictions their lifestyle is based upon, Adler would look at great variety of things: the birth order, early recollections, any childhood problems that the person has, dreams and daydreams. Pay attention to how people express themselves. Okay? So also popular to his theory is early recollection. This is created in the first 4 to 5 years of life. The earliest memories reveal primary interest in life. Example, the first school memory, the attitudes towards achievement. Okay? And dream analysis is also popular. To attempts to solve the problems, reveals feelings about current problems and intended solutions. Alright. So for his therapy, the psychotherapy enhances the courage, lessens feelings of inferiority, and encourages social interests. Okay, there is a thought that everybody can accomplish everything. Alright, so that's all for our lecture for the theory of Alfred Adler. I hope you've learned something from that. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Okay. And that's all for today, my egos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you share this to others and don't forget to subscribe.